2 Kings chapter 9. And Elisha the prophet called one of the children of the prophets and said unto him, Gird up thy loins and take this box of oil in thine hand and go to Ramoth Gilead. And when thou comest thither, look out there Jehu the son of Jehoshaphat the son of Nimshi, and go in and make him arise up from among his brethren, and carry him to an inner chamber. Then take the box of oil and pour it on his head, and say, Thus saith the Lord, I have anointed thee king over Israel. Then open the door and flee and tarry not. So the young man, even the young man the prophet, went to Ramoth Gilead. And when he came, behold, the captains of the host were sitting. And he said, I have an errand to thee, O captain. And Jehu said, Unto which of all of us? And he said, To thee, O captain. And he arose and went into the house, and he poured the oil on his head, and said unto him, Thus saith the Lord God of Israel, I have anointed thee king over the people of the Lord, even over Israel. And thou shalt smite the house of Ahab thy master, that I may avenge the blood of my servants the prophets, and the blood of all the servants of the Lord at the hand of Jezebel. For the whole house of Ahab shall perish, and I will cut off from Ahab him that pisseth against the wall, and him that is shut up and left in Israel. And I will make the house of Ahab like the house of Jeroboam the son of Nebat, and like the house of Baasha the son of Ahijah. And the dogs shall eat Jezebel in the portion of Jezreel, and there shall be none to bury her. And he opened the door and fled. Then Jehu came forth to the servants of his Lord, and one said unto him, Is all well? Wherefore came this mad fellow to thee? And he said unto him, Ye know the man and his communication? And they said, It is false. Tell us now. And he said, Thus and thus spake he to me, saying, Thus saith the Lord, I have anointed thee king over Israel. Then they hasted and took every man his garment, and put it under him on the top of the stairs, and blew with trumpets, saying, Jehu is king. So Jehu, the son of Jehoshaphat, the son of Nimshi, conspired against Joram. Now Joram had kept Ramoth Gilead, he and all Israel, because of Hazael, king of Syria. But King Joram was returned to be healed in Jezreel of the wounds which the Syrians had given him, when he fought with Hazael, king of Syria. And Jehu said, If it be your minds, then let none go forth, nor escape out of the city to go to tell it in Jezreel. So Jehu rode in a chariot and went to Jezreel, for Joram lay there, and Ahaziah, king of Judah, was come down to see Joram. And there stood a watchman on the tower in Jezreel, and he spied the company of Jehu as he came, and said, I see a company. And Joram said, Take an horseman, and send to meet them, and let him say, Is it peace? So there went one on horseback to meet him, and said, Thus saith the king, Is it peace? And Jehu said, What hast thou to do with peace? Turn thee behind me. And the watchman told, saying, The messenger came to them, but he cometh not again. Then he sent out a second on horseback, which came to them, and said, Thus saith the king, Is it peace? And Jehud answered, What hast thou to do with peace? Turn thee behind me. And the watchman told, saying, He came even unto him, and cometh not again. And the driving is like the driving of Jehu the son of Nimshi, for he driveth furiously. And Joram said, Make ready. And his chariot was made ready. And Joram, king of Israel, and as Ahaziah, king of Judah, went out, each in his chariot, and they went out against Jehu, and met him in the portion of Naboth the Jezreelite. And it came to pass, when Joram saw Jehu, that he said, Is it peace, Jehu? And he answered, What peace, so long as the whoredoms of thy mother Jezebel and her witchcrafts are so many? And Joram turned his hands and fled, and said to Ahaziah, There is treachery, O Ahaziah. And Jehu drew a bow with his full strength, and smote Jehoram between his arms, and the arrow went out at his heart, and he sunk down in his chariot. Then said Jehu to Bidkar his captain, Take up and cast him in the portion of the field of Naboth the Jezreelite. For remember how that when I and thou rode together after Ahab his father, the Lord laid this burden upon him. Surely I have seen yesterday the blood of Naboth, and the blood of his son, saith the Lord, and I will requite thee in this plat, saith the Lord. Now, therefore, take and cast him into the plat of ground, according to the word of the Lord. But when Ahaziah, the king of Judah, saw this, he fled by the way of the garden house. And Jehu followed him, and said, Smite him also in the chariot. And they did so at the going up to Gur, which is by Ebleam. And he fled to Megiddo, and died there. And his servants carried him in a chariot to Jerusalem, and buried him in his sepulchre with his fathers in the city of David. And in the 11th year of Joram, the son of Ahab, began Ahaziah to reign over Judah. And when Jehu was come to Jezreel, Jezebel heard of it, and she painted her face, and teared her head, and looked out at a window. And as And as Jehu entered in at the gate, she said, Had Zimri peace? Who slew his master? And he lifted up his face to the window and said, Who is on my side? Who? And there looked out to him 2 or 3 eunuchs, and he said, Throw her down. So they threw her down, and some of her blood was sprinkled on the wall and on the horses, and he trode her under foot. And when he was come in, he did eat and drink, and said, Go, see now this cursed woman, and bury her, for she is a king's daughter. And they went to bury her, but they found no more of her than the skull and the feet and the palms of her hands. Wherefore they came again and told him. And he said, This is the word of the Lord, which he spake by his servant Elijah the Tishbite, saying, In the portion of Jezreel shall dogs eat the flesh of Jezebel, and the carcass of Jezebel shall be as dung upon the face of the field in the portion of Jezreel, so that they shall not say, This is Jezebel. The previous chapter, 2 Kings 8, Elisha warns the unnamed wife from chapter 4 that a 7-year famine is coming. She goes to live in the land of the Philistines until it is over. She comes back to petition the king for her property. Gehazi, Elisha's servant, influences the king to return her property, and he does. King Benadad gets sick and dies. Hazael becomes king of Syria next. Jehoshaphat's son Jehoram becomes king of Judah, marries Ahab's daughter, and becomes an evil king. Jehoram loses control of Edom and Libnah. Jehoram's son Ahaziah becomes Judah's next king. Ahaziah and Joram war against Hazael. Joram is wounded. The current chapter, 2 Kings 9, Jehu is anointed to be king of Israel. Joram, the current king, is recovering from his wounds. King Ahaziah over Judah is visiting him. Jehu ambushes them and kills Joram. Jehu's men kill Ahaziah. News of Jehu's actions reach Jezebel. Jezebel applies her makeup, styles her hair, and waits for Jehu. When he arrives, she calls him a murderer. Jehu commands the eunuchs around her to throw her out of the window, and they do. Jehu commands his men to bury Jezebel because she is the daughter of royalty. There were barely any remains to bury. Okay, we are summarizing 2 Kings 9. This is the chapter of Jezebel's death. So, verses 1 through 10, Elisha tells the child of a prophet to go to Ramoth Gilead and to anoint Jehu to be the next king of Israel. Also, after you do this, hurry up and leave. And then Elisha also gives this servant, prophet child something to say. I'll anoint you king over Israel. Okay. Anoint Jehu and then hurry up and leave. So, verse 5 and 6 is the process of Jehu being anointed. Um, and also uh, this prophecy from 1 Kings 21 is mentioned. You are to strike down the house of your master Ahab. Uh, the whole house of Ahab will perish, and then the dogs will eat Jezebel. Elisha tells one of his servants to anoint Jehu and give them this message. The servant does. So, verse 11, Jehu comes out after being anointed by this boy or servant, prophet, sons of a prophet. So his servants are asking him, Are you okay? And they're like, why is this crazy person ranting to you? Because remember, Elisha tells this servant, Be quick about it. Tell him and then hurry up and leave. So Jehu sort of downplays it, their sort. And they say, no, it's a lie. Tell us what happened. So Jehu tells the servants that he was just anointed to be king over Israel. So each of his servants go ahead and honor him as king. So Jehu conspires against Joram. Joram right now is the king of Israel, and uh, Hazael. So Joram is the king of Israel. Hazael is the king of Syria, and then Ahaziah is the king of Judah. Okay? In the previous chapter, Joram was injured from warring with the Syrians, and Jehu tells his servants, this is just information. So 14, we're the text is letting us know that Joram is plotting on the king of Israel, Joram. Verse 15 lets us know that King Joram of Israel was wounded in the last chapter. He's still healing from his wounds. And after that sentence is over, then Jehu says to his servants, if you want me to be king, don't tell anyone in Jezreel. So Jehu is going to confront the king of Israel, Joram, and he rides into his city on chariot. King Ahaziah of Judah is also there visiting Joram. That was told to us in the last chapter. So there's a watchman who sees Jehu's mob approaching and alerts King Joram. King Joram says, send someone out to ask him, is this peaceful meeting? So the horseman asks, but Jehu is able to convince this horseman to get on his side. He says, what do you have to do with peace? Fall behind me. So he does. And so the person who's on the lookout, communicating information back to the king of Israel, King Joram, he tells him, like, look, the man didn't come back. So then he sent out a second horseman, and same thing happens. He asked Jehu, is this going to be peaceful? And Jehu says, what do you have to do with peace? Fall in line behind me. And he does. So the watchman then reports back to Joram again. The guy has reached Jehu, but he's not coming back to us. So Joram understands that, okay, this is not peace then, so we need to prepare for war. So both King Joram of Israel and King Ahaziah of Judah, they both prepare to confront Jehu. So again, for the third time, when Joram sees Jehu, he asks, is it about to be peaceful? And Jehu answers, what peace can there be as long as there's so much? That's not what this says. This is a Christian Standard Bible. Jehu responds, what peace so long as the whoredoms of thy mother Jezebel and her witchcrafts are so many? Okay. Joram then turned around and fled. Is treachery, Ahaziah. Jehu shot a bow through his chest, killing him. And then he tells one of his men to throw him into the plot of land belonging to Naboth. Now, Naboth was, I forget what chapter it is, but Ahab, Jezebel's husband, wanted a vineyard that was close to his home. Naboth would not sell it. And so Jezebel arranges his death so that her husband can get the vineyard that he wanted. So now in verse 25 here in 2 Kings 9, we're seeing this again. After killing the king of Israel, Jehu wants to throw his body on this plot of land. Then we see this again. As surely as I've seen the blood of Naboth, I will repay you on this land. Okay. So King Ahaziah of Judah, this is not even his territory. He was just visiting. But he feels that he needs to run, and Jehu, his men kill him. So now there is no king of Israel, no king of Judah except for Jehu. He's the king of it all now. Or at least there's no king of Judah. And so we learn here it was the 11th year. I think this in verse 29, that's even different information than it was the last chapter. So now that Jehu has killed both the king of Israel and the king of Judah, now he's going to come back to Jezreel, where Jezebel is. Jezebel hears about it, so she fixes her hair and her makeup, and she looks down from the window. I just love that. I just love that she didn't let the fear, she knows it's coming, okay? She knows it's coming. She knows she has it coming. She doesn't try to beg for her forgiveness. She doesn't try to pretend that she's innocent. She knows she did some dirt, and she knows it's her time now. Yeah, but I'm still gonna do my makeup though. You think that made the men mad because they wanted her to be terrified? She says, "Do you come in peace? Killer of your master?" Called him a murderer, talking junk to him. So he has to look up to her, which I like that too. I like that she wasn't groveling to this man that she's supposed to be scared of. She looked down at him with her makeup done and her hair done and insulted him, knowing that he was coming to kill her. Jehu looks up and says, "Who's on my side?" The eunuchs throw her down. Her blood splatters on the wall and on the horses, and Jehu rode his horse over her, trampling her in addition to her being thrown down. Then he goes in, has a meal, and then decides to his servants, "Go and get Jezebel, at least bury her because she's the daughter of a king." And they told him there's nothing hardly left. It's barely anything but the skull, the feet, the hands. And we learn, this fulfills the Lord's word. Jezebel's corpse will be like manure. I still really enjoyed reading this about Jezebel because she is nothing at all like what some man dictated that she was. I should